Alrighty, today we're going to be restoring a vintage World War II era combat knife. Okay, this is one of two knives, combat knives, that came to us from a friend of ours, a very close friend. Asked us to restore his cherished knives that were owned by his father. Yeah, so we did the first one. That one's been completed about a week ago or so, and now we're going to tackle the second one. This is going to be another refurbish, if you will. Okay, we're just going to bring this back to a better state, as opposed to doing a restore. We're not going to take it apart. The leather stack itself is in good shape. It just needs to be really clean, so we're going to clean that up. And I'm not even sure what manufacturer this is at this point. We're going to have to, once we clean it a little bit, we'll be able to figure it out. This leather piece, this leather leg tie is broken. You can see where it's broken off, so we're going to actually replace that with one that will be able to be utilized to tie it around your thigh. Okay. We're going to refurbish the leather sheath. The retainer snap is missing completely. You can see where it's broken off. Okay, so we're going to replace that. Match the leather on that as close as possible. So let's take this out of the sheath. See what we're dealing with. All right. This one is quite a bit rustier than the previous refurb we did. Okay, this side's not too bad. This side's pretty rusty. Again, the leather stack is solid, no missing pieces. The pommel's in good shape. Looks like it's aluminum. We got a steel handguard, and yeah, definitely a steel blade. So it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece. It really is. And so this piece is probably somewhere around 80 to 85 years old. Okay. There is a manufacturer mark on it. I'm just not sure what it says. So we're going to clean that off, and then we're going to do a little research on the internet. We will be right back. Yeah, so to take a look at the maker's mark, we're just going to use a little general purpose cleaner and some very fine brass wool. RH, and then it's got a 36. There's something in between the RH and the 36. Not sure what at this point. Well, we're gonna do some research on the interweb, and we'll be back shortly. Okay, so we are back. Spent about 5 minutes on the internet looking this up. It was very, very easy to find. As it turns out, we have a very special knife here. Okay, other than its sentimental value, also very special in the fact that this particular knife was only made during the war years, World War II years. Okay, it's RH PAL 36. Okay, that's what this actually says here. This knife was made by Remington Cutlery. Okay, the RH stands for Remington Hunter. Okay, PAL was a company that made knives as well. Okay, so this was in concert with them. Okay, but Remington Cutlery made this knife for PAL, specifically for World War II. Okay, so this was discontinued after the war. So after the war ended. So a very, very special knife. Could have been manufactured as early as 1941. Yeah, this was basically a fighting knife for the Marine Corps. Okay, survival knife, fighting knife, really. Trench knife. So yeah, these saw a lot of action. Okay, don't know what type of action this specific unit saw, but yeah, so very, 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 very pleased to be involved with this restore or this refurb. Okay, so where we're going to start is we're going to start by cleaning, taking off as much of the residue, the 80 years worth of residue that's on this knife. Okay, and what we're going to use for that is we're going to use some saddle soap, which is typically what we use to clean any type of leather. This is a neutral color, so we're going to use that just to remove the residue. Alright, so we cleaned the leather stack with saddle soap for quite some time. Okay, and a lot of the 80 years worth of oils and residue came off. Okay, so you can see it's a bit lighter in color, and thank God none of the stack came apart. The stack is in really, really good shape. Okay, so no issues there. Okay. While we work on the blade, we're going to protect the leather stack with a piece of plastic. I always love trying to use tape with rubber gloves on. It's always a fun experience. Alright, the reason why we put the plastic over that, and then just put the tape directly on there, is tape can and usually does damage leather. Okay, when you put it on there, when you remove it, the adhesive a lot of times will pull off some of the leather. First thing we're going to do, we're just going to hit this with some brass wool. See how much rust we can take off. Okay, we really want to start slow. And use the least amount of abrasive possible. Okay, because we want to try to not take off any metal. Points just using elbow grease and brass wool. Pretty clean with just using the brass wool. Yeah, so we've got some rust staining, really a form of bluing, to be honest with you, but it's kind of cool. But really want to remove that. Okay, so we're going to try something on this to see if we can remove the remainder of this rust. Okay, so we've got some Birchwood Casey Blue and Rust Remover. Okay, so it removes blue and rust easily and quickly. Okay, we've used this once before in another project. I like the way it removes rust. And we haven't used it to remove bluing, but I'm hoping that this rust and this rust bluing, or this bluing, is gonna come out. All right, I would like to see if that will work. All right, so I really want to see if I can remove this without any additional abrasives, or I should say any harsher abrasives. In other words, I'd like to see if I can remove most of this coloring chemically as opposed to abrasively, or with an abrasive. All right, so we're going to apply this with a swab. We're going to liberally apply it. And we are going to let that sit for a few minutes. Okay, so that's 2 minutes. So we're using a small piece of steel wool. Cleaning this off. Seems like it worked pretty good. Still some in there, but big difference. Look at that. That's amazing. All right, so now we know Birchwood Casey Blue and Rust Remover. Really came well. I mean, there's still a little staining in there, but not much. Excellent. All right, so that worked really well with the Birchwood Casey Blue and Rust Remover. So we're gonna make one more application. All right. I'd say it took off, 90% of the rust, discoloring, bluing, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so we're back 120 seconds later, and we're going to use a small piece of steel wool. Second application of the Birchwood Casey. Alright, so the pommel end is really in good shape. Okay, there's no deep scratches. There's some very light scratches. You know what? But yeah, I don't want to touch that. I don't want to mess with the patina on this. Okay, so we're literally just going to polish it out. Alright, at this point we're going to use some leather conditioner. This is probably our most used leather conditioner. We just apply a little on a rag, cloth, soft cloth, to rub that in. Don't worry about getting it on the metal. It's not harmful, as long as you wipe it off. Alright, so that's good. Alright, so we finish up the refurb on the knife, okay, the World War II combat knife. Alright, so we did a refurb on this, brought it back to a condition that it probably hasn't seen in many years. Okay, so we didn't really use hardly any abrasives on the blade itself. Okay, we used, the heaviest abrasive we used was steel wool. Okay, we used a rust remover by Birchwood Casey, and that really got that staining out of that blade. Not everything, but let me tell you something. It's without taking any sandpaper to this, which we did not. We used no sandpaper. Brass wool, that's it. Steel wool and brass wool and the Casey Birchwood. Yeah, so very happy with that. Okay, and same thing with the handguard here. The pommel, which I'm sure is aluminum, we did not use anything on that except for a buffing wheel. Okay, so didn't want to do anything with that except for just polish it out. Okay, that's all we did. As far as the leather stack, we cleaned that with saddle soap. Alright, and then conditioned it with some Bickmore. Alright, so it definitely lightened it up. You could see, if you look at the original, it's definitely lightened up a few shades. Alright, so the blade, again, we didn't do anything to it as far as removing material except for just putting an edge on it. Okay, so right now it's very sharp. Okay, so we put an edge on that and polished it out. That's it. It came out really nice. So it's very authentic World War II, an actual World War II knife. They only built these during the war years, okay, for the GIs, the Marines. Yeah, very cool piece. And yeah, so at this point we're done with the knife, the RH, the Remington Hunter, and we're gonna move along to the, set this aside. This is the Keef we restored last week. And we've got it laid out right next to the PAL. Let's unsheath them. Look at that. Truly, in my opinion, a thing of beauty. What a set. Talk about a good looking set. That's it right there.